So if you know me, then you for sure know who Funky Fries Gaming is. Funky was a creator who would make top 10 and other stuff since I don't remember much of that and I remember a lot more of when he switched to commentary, which is basically when all hell broke loose. And I honestly don't remember everything with FUNKYFRIESGAMING, and the main things I do remember are him copyright striking people as well as apparently making a racist joke. But I will talk about Oscar HCR2's video about Funky and share what I believe about all of what he says even though there might also be more. And I don't know what happened with Funky and Jerry 11, or I don't remember at least, but I probably won't talk about it in this video not only since there's nothing I can find of it, and I honestly want to save you from worrying about more fucking drama with this guy, since there's enough as it is. But let's go. So Oscar starts by talking about a post from Funky where he asks his fans about how to get back into the algorithm, but Oscar showed that just 9 months before the post as of Oscar's video he got 160,000 views on one of Funky's other videos. And Oscar states that it might be his content, and then brings up a video with 3,000 or 4,000 views at the time about the 10 types of HCR2 creators and shows that Funky talked about the listers or more specifically the people who make top 10 videos. He even states that it was unoriginal content. But what is funny is that Oscar showed that Funky make like 6 of the same type of video in the past. So basically he is a hypocrite by his own standards. But Oscar showed another part, where Funky talks about voiceover channels, which is basically himself at the time. And he said that they can make interesting content. Like really funky. So he decided to talk about himself and rag on everyone else talking about how his content is interesting. And then he showed a video where Funky quote-unquote reacts to people's unpopular opinions, and he shows a comment where they say that great players are 99% luck and 1% skill. And Funky says that he didn't have an opinion on it as he didn't play the game. Get this. In a video talking about the fucking game. Then Funky shows a comment about how Zoro and Linus aren't the only amazing players, which is kind of true, but Funky decides to say that Zoro and Linus are overrated. Then Oscar shows a Discord message of the world records with Linus at 20, Fei at 21, and Zoro at 209. Yeah, sure Funky, Zoro is definitely overrated, isn't he now? And honestly, Funky shouldn't be saying shit with talking about not even playing the game coming from the same mouth. Oscar then talks about Funky being a commentary channel and how it doesn't mix well together. And I want to agree to disagree. Not just because I am a commentary channel, but also because people like Retro Gaming now have done well doing a similar format about talking about stories with Minecraft. Then again, Hill Climb Racing 2 is a completely different game, so yeah. But this where it gets spicy as Oscar shows Funky's infamous RR video where he jokes about RR's audience just being 8-year-old Indians. Then Champion Gaming talks about how Funky is racist. And I totally disagree. A joke is a joke, and I would get it if Funky did something a lot worse, but honestly this seems a lot more like people being a little bit sensitive about a joke. But Oscar doesn't really get into this, as much as he shows Funky whining about the accusation that was thrown at him by Champion Gaming. And honestly, as much as I agree with Funky on him not being racist, he didn't really have much of a reason at all to apologize for a joke he made online in my opinion, nor did he need to freak out about it in community posts. And then Oscar showed Funky talking in Oscar's Discord about how he decided to not make the video that Funky said he would make in one of his 394 community posts. And Oscar shows that if he wouldn't have made that comment on YouTube that Funky shows, then Champion Gaming would have likely been roadkill. But Funky unlisted his video on RR, which is probably better than deleting other people's videos, which brings us to the copyright police situation. Oscar shows a video where Funky is talking about people copying other people's videos. And he shows someone called Brian who copied Funky's video word for word. With PR Linus in the video for some reason, so Funky put text over Linus's clip and got upset when someone else did the same thing, which Oscar calls narcissistic. But he shows more of Funky's video where he is basically saying that if he thinks you copied him, then he will fucking copyright strike you for it. Yeah, that's literally pro-racer territory that Funky is going into right here. And Oscar talks about his HCR2 slander video he made, and how Boxy Plains was the actual person who started the trend. And he said that he supported those who put their versions of his video. And he talked about Funky in his slander video showing the crying bald guy meme, and no, not the students are all morons one, the guy in the chair one, saying FUNKYFRIESGAMING after someone copies his shit content, which unless he didn't make that joke himself, which I doubt, then kudos to him for that joke. And he said that he got it would be fine unless Funky made his own slander video, but Funky did. And right off the bat, Funky puts credit to Oscar, when he stated earlier that he didn't start the trend. But maybe Funky didn't know, after all Boxy's video is barely had views even when Boxy has 10 times Oscar's sub count. But Funky jokes about himself being the copyright police later in this slander video. But then Oscar shows Funky telling someone with like 200 subscribers that they are ripping off their video when Funky didn't even start the fucking trend. And this is where people started actually giving fair criticism against Funky. Then Oscar shows the video of the 10 different types of HCR creators from the start, where he uses the same desert clip that Oscar did. And then Oscar shows where Funky copied a short that Oscar did where he touches grass. Then Oscar talks about Funky tagging other people to try to get into recommended. Just in one of his videos, Funky tags Vereshchak, Iolanoi, Maddie Tinto SB Draken Vilgo, Deflorator Linus Zoro Demo Sabir Carlos Protect, and Arian. Like Jesus Christ, next he's going to put me in a tag in his next fucking video, and I have 24 subscribers. Like he tagged 14 different people. And when you search these people, a bunch of Funky's videos show up. And Tinto also does this, which makes me upset because Tinto seems like someone who didn't do anything bad, but seriously, it's a shitty thing to do. And then we go all the way back to Funky's original question from the start talking about how to get back into the algorithm. And Oscar says to play the game again, as Funky was just doing this all to farm views now, whether it's the tagging or anything else he does. And Oscar talks about Funky being a good creator at the start, and then becoming desperate after finding the history of blank videos and other stuff were getting more views, which I fully agree with. But God knows what Funky will say about this video, as Funky probably thinks we are done worrying about it, and he is also a little bitch when it comes to criticism, so yeah. But KASA out.
By the way guys, I absolutely hate black people. There's this one story I had where I harassed a black guy in Costco. I was just minding my business, but like I hate black people and could not tolerate this black person within 6 feet of my vicinity. And then the furries, man. Why is every transgender person a freaking furry? It is not even funny anymore. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Just be a normal person and do none of that transgender furry shit. It absolutely sucks. And every single person should just be normal and not be gay, trans, or any of that other homo shit. Just stop, man. Like, seriously.